Hello, wonderful internationals like me. Today I am loving this video because we are going to go through just four words that are really quirky, and we are going to go through the meaning of these words in different contexts, okay? So this video is a standard video where I speak English with explanation, but you have the same video in the high Spanish content version as well. So if after this video you feel like a challenge because you'll be familiar with the meaning of all of the stuff that I'm gonna be going through, you can have a look at the other video because you may be surprised, you may understand more than what you think, and also it's a way of touching the real thing. So it's gonna prepare you even more for real life situations when you are in Spain or when you are interacting with like close Spanish friends or your Spanish family over in Spain. All right. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Cutillas-Moreno, but you can call me BCM. BCM, you Spanish. And as most of you know, it was very difficult for me to learn English as an adult. I found it really tough, and in the process I realized of a method. As a good doctor scientist, I realized of a method in which way you can become fluent at Spanish in the same way that I did become fluent in English. And without further ado, oh, by the way, if you like what you're hearing in my videos, please subscribe so you'll be alerted of all the videos that I am uploading, which are a lot. I want to teach you. I want you to be able to learn the Spanish that gets you communicating from day one, okay? So thank you very much for watching, and congratulations because you are gonna learn a few things today that I think it took me probably a few years to click on these ideas, all right? So you are at a great advantage just by watching the video. So let's make a start. I'm gonna just list the words and then we're gonna go through them. So the first word we're gonna go through is key in English, the English word key, but then I'm gonna explain the different words that we use in Spanish. So key, the following is an Spanish word, is sellar, and I'll explain everything about it. The third word is smash, and the fourth word is coat, okay? So let's start with the first word. The first word is key. So why do I say that this word is really quirky? Okay, so as you know in English, key is, so you can use it in the context of that step of the process is key. In this case, in Spanish, we use the word clave, okay? So if we translate that in Spanish, what I have just said, it will be este proceso es clave, or este paso del proceso es clave, okay? You got it written down here, so let's repeat this together. Este paso del proceso es clave, okay? So what that means, this step in the process is key, okay? Now, what happens when you want to say something like the key license? You know, when you buy a software and you need to enter a license key. In that case, in Spanish, we also say clave, okay? La clave de acceso. So it's the access key to the software, okay? So let's repeat this together. La clave de acceso. Okay, now is when things become really fun. So what about when you say a house key? So in Spanish, a house key, we don't call it clave, we call it llave. So, las llaves de la casa. And usually we speak in plural, you know, when you say the house keys. So we say las llaves de la casa. And if you are talking about one key only to open the door, we say la llave, okay? So for example, to say a copy of this key, you will say una copia de esta llave, okay? When you go like to the equivalent of Thompson's and say, una copia de esta llave, okay? So a copy of this key. So this is the first word. And then something very interesting as well that is on the topic is that how do we say password? So password in Spanish is completely different. In the same way that you don't say key, you say you say username and password. In Spanish we will say nombre de usuario and contraseña. So nombre de usuario is username and password is contraseña, okay? So if we recap very quickly, so something that is key in the process, we say clave. Something that is the license key of a software, we say clave as well, clave de acceso. Something that is a house key, we say llave. And something that is a password, we say contraseña, okay? So that's the first word. Now, the second word is sellar, sellar. So, sellar in Spanish is used for these two meanings. To seal something, you know, when you seal in something, we say sellar, but sellar in Spanish is also to stamp. And if you think about it, when you, in the old days, when you would stamp a letter, you were sealing it in a way, isn't it? So you were sealing it, you were closing it. So in that way, sellar in Spanish has both meanings. And in this case, English language has the two different words for the same sort of action. But can you see how beautiful languages are? They are so connecting. So something that I love about this is that I realize then that people is people. In Spain, in the UK, people, we are people. And the sentences are the same. It's just that for some reason, certain words have evolved in one way and certain words in another language have evolved in another way. But they could both be used because they all make sense. So I love this topic and I am very happy to make this video. I'll probably make some more of these concepts as they come to mind. So, okay, on the same topic of sellar, so following that, because sellar in Spanish is both to seal and to stamp, the word of stamp in Spanish is sello. Sello, okay? Now, let's have a look at the old ways of stamping, okay? So basically, and actually, stamping on the floor, like when people dance flamenco, stamping on the floor is taconear, taconear. And that comes from the heel, because the heel of the shoe is tacón. And even the male dancers will have also a small wide heel as well to be able to stamp whilst dancing flamenco. So we call it taconear, okay? Now, if we have a look at the old ways of stamping a letter, in English language you say a wax stamp, and in Spanish we say sello de lacre. So the wax for stamping has its own name because wax in Spanish is cera. So for example, wax from the bees is cera, but the wax for an stamp is called lacre. So it's a particular type of stamp, all right? So that's the second word. I think this is so quirky and I love it. Now let's have a look at the third word. The third word is so cool as well, and is smash, okay? The verb to smash. So in the same way as in English language, you say smash, and in Spanish is romper or chafar. So chafar is smashing something, like whilst cooking. Romper is to break. But yeah, so romper will be to break, but you can also say smash. You can use romper also to smash something, okay? And something I thought it was very interesting is that, see, in English language, sometimes in colloquial terms, you can say, oh, you're gonna smash it, or I smashed that interview. And in Spanish, we don't use romper or we don't use chafar. We use different words. So we use, for example, petar, petar. Lo vas a petar. Esa entrevista la vas a petar. That interview you are going to smash. And petar means explode. You know, it's like an explosion. So in the same way as smashing is breaking something, petar is an explosion. And that's where the word petardo comes from. Petardo. And petardo is a firework. So yes, so petardo will explode. And the verb petar is explosion. But we say colloquially, we say, oh, lo vas a petar. Okay? And another synonymous for petar or that particular sentence are, for example, lo vas a hacer genial. It means you're gonna do geniusly, you know, like the Jenny from the lamp from Aladdin. So lo vas a hacer genial. Or we say vas a arrasar. Arrasar. Arrasar is to destroy. But it is, what I envisage is like a field of, you know, when a mountain gets on fire and then the whole of the mountain is like destroyed, because it's like, I imagine something very horizontal, you know, being like destroyed horizontally and like a very, at a length, you know. So vas a arrasar. It's like you're gonna be so successful that you are going to, like, you know, rock it. Yeah. So we use those sentences. And what else? Bear with me 1 second. Triunfar. So you are going to triumph, you know, vas a triunfar. But that we say also colloquially, you know, when you do something so well, it's like, oh, what a triumph. You are going to, vas a triunfar, no? And that is so funny as well, isn't it? And then on this note as well, so see, for example, mashed potato. In Spanish, we call it puré de patata. Puré. So in cooking terms, things that are mashed, we call them puré. Puré. Or like blended. Something that is blended, we call it puré as well. I hope that you are learning so much. I'm sure you are. So now let's go with the last word. It'll be coat. Oh my god, this one is so interesting. Coat, okay? So, coat, in Spanish, if you are talking about a layer of something, you say capa. Capa de aceite, a coat of oil, or capa de pintura. Capa de pintura, like a coat of paint. You know, how many coats of paint? ¿Cuántas capas de pintura necesito para esta habitación? So how many coats of paint do I need for this room? ¿Cuántas capas necesito para esta habitación? Okay? So, a layer. Then if we are talking about clothing, in the translation for coat, we don't say capa, we say abrigo. Abrigo. And abrigo comes from one verb, which is the verb abrigar. So we have one verb that is abrigar. And abrigar translates in English language to wrap up warm. So for us to say to wrap up warm, we have just one verb, which is abrigar, and therefore what you use to wrap up warm is un abrigo. Okay? So for example, a sentence will be este invierno me compraré un nuevo abrigo, which means this winter I will buy a brand new coat. Este invierno me compraré un abrigo. Okay? So now, going a little bit deep into this word. So, coat as a layer is capa. For clothing as the standard coat is abrigo. But wait for this. Because now we have capa also as a clothing item. Can you guess when? I think that you can. So basically, you know the Superman cape? So the Superman cape, we call it la capa de Superman. Yeah, Superman's cape. La capa de Superman. And then also, if you are wearing this type of coat that is like a poncho style, that is not fully closed, we call it capa. So very stylish ladies or very stylish gentlemen who are dressing up a lot, and they, instead of putting a coat, they put these very dressy ponchos. We don't call them ponchos, we call them capa. A capa, and it's usually very dressy. Because if a capa is not dressy, it's it looks like handmade, and it's very woolly, so it's not dressy at all, we call it poncho. But if it's the same material of a coat, or even thinner, like how you call that, tweed, but no like pattern, like black, usually like quite dark color, or a light color, but it's like very elegant poncho, we call it capa. So we could say, para la boda voy a ponerme mi capa. So for that wedding, to attend that wedding, I am gonna wear my elegant poncho. I don't know if in English, you probably in English call it cape too. I think I have remembered for it to be called cape. But see, so coat as a paint coat is capa. Coat as a standard clothing is abrigo. But then the Superman's cape is capa again. And then a very dressy cape is capa. And that's all for today's video. I hope that you have loved it. I hope that you have clicked in your head and gone, oh, that is so beautiful. And you are falling in love even a little bit more with the Spanish language. Without anything else to add to the video, as I always say, I wish you the very best. And don't forget that you're important, that you're significant, that you matter. Comunícate en español y libérate. Y conecta con tu familia y amigos a otro nivel. Muchísimas gracias.